Thank you for joining us for another edition of our virtual town hall. I have with me Lamar Allen, who is running for our party's nomination for the 56th House District here in Fayette County, but also includes part of Woodford and Frankfort counties. Lamar, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure.
So we were trying to think of ways of getting the candidates out in front of voters during this time of social distancing, which we know can be kind of difficult right now because people are staying healthy at home.
Absolutely.
We would generally have events and those sorts of things where people could get to know the candidates, but it's a little harder this time. So
Yes.
what we thought we would do is kind of ask you two questions so voters can get a sense of who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Jump into the policy questions, and then we'll open it up to you to talk to us about anything that you think we need to know.
All right. Definitely. Thank you.
Okay, so the first one is, during this time of healthy at home, are there any television shows you're streaming or binging on, or any books that you're reading that you think voters should know about?
Yes. I'm becoming a super fan of Tales from the Loop. Okay. Tales from the Loop on Amazon I'm an artsy guy. So I have like a graphic designer background, and I think it's beautifully shot. And on top of it being beautifully shot, the character development is amazing. And it's like a continuum. So every episode uses a character from the previous episode, but it's an entirely different story. So I could not recommend that enough.
Okay, great. Also, talking about healthy at home, we've all had a little more opportunity to have some introspection, some quiet time. Is there anything that you've learned about yourself during this time that you want to share?
Yeah, so if you ask my wife, she's going to say that I'm not as funny as I think I am. um, but for me, honestly, it's been realizing how, in some ways, dependent I am on connections, having like real connections with other individuals. So I've realized the way that I have, I guess, tried to navigate that has been through social media. Engaging my friends and people that I don't know on social media by playing like social media games,
Right.
supporting local businesses and things of that nature. So just making sure that, for me, making sure that I am still connected, even though there is physical distance amongst us all right now.
Yeah, great. I think everybody's out there trying to figure out new ways to do that. So
Absolutely.
I'm going to jump into the policy questions now. So what we did was we asked Democrats in Lexington over the last couple of weeks to submit to us questions that they had for the various different races of their primaries.
Okay.
And we've narrowed it down to 7 questions.
Okay.
We'll ask you these, and then after that, like I said, we'll open it up for you to share with us what you think you need to share. So I'll jump right in if you're ready.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, so the first question, COVID-19 has changed and will continue to change lots about our everyday lives.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that we're hearing from voters is that, to them, they're seeing that it's exposing a lot of the great income inequality here in Kentucky and across the nation. Moving forward, what should our leaders be doing to address this issue of income inequality?
Yeah, I think that this is, we've always had I'd say a spotlight on this inequality, but in other ways, I think that this shines even a brighter spotlight on it. And honestly, it shows you that there are individuals, when there are dramatic things that happen in our country and in our state, and in this case, a pandemic, who, despite their best efforts, they are unable to truly stay safe, truly be able to receive the services and the resources that honestly, people like even myself as a classroom teacher that I'm privileged to have. We have a situation now where we have extreme unemployment right now because of the pandemic. We have issues associated with food and, food deserts in these communities. And these are the same individuals that are not able to get, the basic things that every Kentuckian should have, including healthcare. I think our lawmakers and politicians should look at this as a stop time, but also as a point where we can make a dramatic change for the families and the individuals in our state. this is a time where we should really begin fighting for health care for all Kentuckians. This is a time that we realize that our lowest paid workers are our essential workers. And without those workers, we do not have food on our table. We do not have the resources that we depend on every single day. And I think that this creates a time where we realize our most essential workers, unfortunately, have been our most underpaid workers. And I think we should have legislatures that will actually fight to make sure that these workers are taken care of so that they can, get out of generational poverty and stop being the most impoverished and disenfranchised, and we can start lifting up our neighbors. So a focus on, yes, the social side of it, but then also on the economic side of it. We need to improve wages for these families because it is not okay that we have families in our state who can't afford a mask. It's not okay that we have families that because they do not have transportation, they cannot go to the local store to get toilet paper. And when they get there, it's already been purchased by people in some cases who are, have benefited and done well in their lives economically and are able to, drive and go to these other neighborhoods and get some of those basic necessities.
And you touched on this, the second question a little bit, but I want to flesh this out a bit. So one of the critical weaknesses that is being exposed right now is our system of employer-based healthcare.
Yeah.
Becoming painfully obvious for a lot of folks. What are some things that Kentucky can do to ensure that good and affordable healthcare is accessible for all Kentuckians?
One, I think we should maintain special exemptions for enrollment time. That's one part of it. I think we should always be able to enroll at any given time. I think that should be an ongoing thing. There shouldn't be any stopgaps. There shouldn't be any barriers associated with when you enroll for healthcare. I am a proponent of healthcare for all Kentuckians. I truly believe in this case and in all other cases that your employer, like being employed, should not be a mandate for you to actually receive healthcare. I mean, that is just, it should be a basic thing that all Kentuckians get, a basic thing that all Kentuckians deserve. Likewise, I'm feeling the effects of this in some cases from my friends. I have literally multiple family members, multiple friends who no longer have a job or have been furloughed, and they are without healthcare. They are without some of the resources that we all should have. And if this is a pivotal time. This is a time where we can make things better for these individuals. Now, that gets more into the fact that we're going to have to change the way business operates in Kentucky. We're going to have to change our tax code. We're going to have to change our taxable revenue strategies. We're going to have to totally change some of the things that we've always done. But I think that this will make us stronger coming out of this pandemic, to be honest with you.
So what new sources of revenue would you support to help support these new programs, but also eliminate this seemingly endless round of budget cuts that the general seems to do every year?
Yeah. So as a teacher, as a Kentuckian, I feel these budget cuts just like anyone else. But one, our governor, Governor Andy Beshear, he said that we're missing out on at least $550 million of taxable revenue just because we haven't expanded gaming. Our bordering states all have gambling where we're losing those dollars to states right next to us. Not to mention that in terms of overall services, we're taxing less services than the states around us. But from a more progressive aspect, I truly believe that we have a major issue when we have our middle class workers and our lowest paid workers paying a higher percentage of their income. They're paying around 9 to 11% of their income in taxes. And the individuals who are doing the best in Kentucky and are benefiting from their businesses in Kentucky and from living in Kentucky, they're paying approximately 6% of their income. We have major issues in terms of our tax code. The way that we tax is regressive, and it adds a burden onto families who are already struggling. So, yes, I think the legalization of marijuana for recreational use is going to be a major taxable revenue boom for our state. Expanding gaming in our state and changing the way that we tax individuals in our state to make it more progressive, and that we're not always having budget shortfalls.
Great. This is kind of related to that. I think, oftentimes the budget shows priorities. And
absolutely. Absolutely.
The two parties in Frankfurt have very different legislative priorities.
Right.
And much of that stems from philosophical differences about the role that government should play in people's lives.
Right.
If you are elected, what would your legislative priorities day one be?
Yes. And even getting to the first part of that, which is my belief is that the government should make life better for its citizens, period. So what can I do to make sure that government is working for District 56 in this case? What can I do to make sure that it is working for the state of Kentucky? I'm talking about the poorest Kentuckian and the richest Kentuckian. What is going to be beneficial for everyone? So in some ways, I don't think the ideology is beneficial, because we're in situations like now where we have individuals struggling in a pandemic because we have operated business as usual. If you're not reflective, if you're not changing the way you feel about a variety of topics and the way that we go about business, you're not doing what's best for Kentucky, and then one day there's going to be a young person like me who comes up and says, hey, you know what, we need a change. We need to do something different. You should consistently be reflective of what you're doing. And in our state, I plan on leading in a way that I am listening to my constituents. I'm living a middle-class lifestyle. I'm originally from a really high poverty location in Flint, Michigan. I've lived in Kentucky the majority of my life, but we've definitely faced a lot of ups and downs. We're a union family, so we understand the importance that labor union have on our lowest paid and our middle-class workforce. And I will come from a standpoint of empathy and an understanding and realizing that what I may believe today, which may seem like a fact today, my world could be totally changed, as a lot of people's has with this pandemic. And I have to adjust in that way. So being a flexible leader, having an empathetic ear, but then also keeping my constituents at the very forefront of all policy and decision-making.
Great. Thank you for that answer. So the next one, as you know, and I hope everyone watching knows, the census is being conducted right now. So if you're watching this and haven't filled out your census, please do so.
Do it now.
Yeah. So sometime over the next few years, the General Assembly will be redrawing the legislative district boundaries. Describe for us how you think the district redrawing process should be conducted, and tell us how you would work to ensure that district lines are fair and that they protect the voices of minority communities.
We should get out of the business of marginalizing the already marginalized, and your elected official should not get to choose who votes for them, and that part to me is pretty clear cut. As a candidate, I should not be able to handpick the people who are going to vote for me. And I think a red flag is when you start seeing these districts that are flowing like rivers across the state of Kentucky. That's a red flag. That means that we are focusing more on attaining power than actually creating progress that benefits our constituents. I am all for realizing that if elected, I would represent Republicans, I would represent Democrats, and I will represent independents. And I'm going to represent a arrangement of demographics in terms of race and in terms of income. And I think that is what makes this this role of being a representative extremely critical, because you have to be able to be flexible. You have to be able to understand that from your experiences, you have one idea, but someone else has totally different experiences. I think it sharpens you as a candidate to be able to have those conversations with people who are different from you. When we get to the point where we're cutting these districts up and we're cutting districts where we are going to have the Democratic candidate, we're going to bunch them in a certain area, or we're going to spread them out, or have African-American voter bloc pushed to the side in this way where their votes really don't matter. To me, that is not what the Commonwealth is about. That's not what we're elected to do. That to me is nothing more than a power grab.
So if you are our nominee, and then if you are a member of the State House, how will you work to engage young voters in the conversations about the issues that are facing our state?
Yeah, I think first, making sure that we have fair elections, making sure that elections are accessible to every individual in the state of Kentucky. There should not be a barrier to be able to voice your opinion on who should lead. That's number one. Also, I'm a classroom teacher. I've been a classroom teacher or in school leadership for the last 10 years of my life. And I've worked with our most impoverished and disenfranchised families. Also, from my experiences of being a Black male in the inner city, I have my own set of experiences in working within schools. I think greater outreach from a lot of our political parties into the school system will be great. Because I can just reflect on my time, I don't recall ever seeing or really engaging with some of the organizations that I engage with now that were around when I was in high school. So a strength of mine is working with children, as I do that every day. And I think having a greater outreach there, making sure that we educate our constituents on the organizations, the nonprofits who are really doing great things in the community, and aligning our children and our adults' interests with organizations where we can really leverage the skills and the interest of individuals with these organizations, and basically establish greater communication between this political body, the nonprofit side of it, the community organizing piece of it, and really pulling individuals who are eager to get engaged but don't know how to get engaged out into these programs.
Great. That segues right into our final question, and then we'll open it up to you. What would you do as an elected official to improve the civic competency of Kentuckians?
I think, and this goes back to the previous question, I think I just said it, so I have to do it, you know? Like, I can't just say it and then leave it for someone else to do. If I believe that those are the things that we need in order to have a more engaged citizen body, then I have to lead the way on that. I have to be in the schools. I have to go and talk to these individuals. I have to walk the streets and notify or create spaces where these organizations can showcase what they actually care about and can pull people in. But I also need to create policy that will allow for that to happen easily. We have communities in communities and individuals in schools right now that when they go to school, they don't see an organization that relates to them, right? And I also know that there are schools, whether this is LGBTQ or not, that we have so many individuals who identify with so many different things. And there's no one in schools, there's no one from K through 12 who they can say, hey, we're like you. We understand where you're coming from. We can support you in this way. And you, through this process, can become an advocate, not only for yourself, but for other people like you. And I'm a firm believer. You know, I talk about this to my wife all the time. You know, if you go to church, you're someone who goes to church and your church doesn't have something. They don't have a church school program. Well, the only way they're going to get that program is if you decide to step up and do it, right? So I think on my end, there's a lot of ideas and a lot of changes that I think we can make incrementally to make Kentucky better. But I also realize that, and that's part of the reason why I'm stepping up, is that if I have the idea and it's not there and it's not happening, it's my responsibility to make it happen. Because if I don't make it happen, it's also my failure that it didn't happen.
Great. So that's all the questions we have for you. So I'm going to
All
open
right.
it up in the last few minutes to talk about whatever it is that you think voters should know about you, about your campaign, about why you're running, anything you want to share.
Yeah. So again, my name is Lamar Allen, and I'm a teacher at Yates Elementary School. I think it's the best elementary school in Lexington. And for the last decade, I've dedicated my life to working with our most disenfranchised and impoverished families in Kentucky and previously in Tennessee. I have a track record of success and of turning around schools. In fact, I have a track record of turning around the second lowest performing school in the state of Tennessee. I am for strengthening public schools. I think when we talk about some of societal's ills and whatnot, it starts in our public schools. It starts with the more educated citizens are, the more empathy they have for other people, the better people they will become. Likewise, I am a third generation union member. All of my brothers are in a union, whether that's FOP, IBEW. I'm in a teachers union. My mother's a Teamster. My grandfathers all worked with AUW in Flint, Michigan. And with that being said, I think that we have to get back to strengthening our blue collar workforce. I think that it's important that we stop the assault and attack on our labor unions. And I think focusing on those three aspects, also including healthcare, because healthcare, honestly, education, healthcare, and work. I mean, without strong unity on those three fronts, we're leaving a lot of Kentuckians behind. So I've decided to run because I want to make a difference. I have a 3-year-old son, and I realize that one day I'm going to want him to be able to make a difference in his community and realize that he's capable of doing it. And what better example to set for him than to show him that, yes, one individual person with some really big ideas can captivate a large group of people and really exact change on his neighborhood and his community. And hopefully I inspire a lot of individuals in our state to do the same.
If someone wants to get in touch with your campaign, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, so my website is lamarforky.com. That's LamarForky.com. I have all of my issues there laid out. You can click on them. If you have a question about anything, you can write me on my website as well, and I'll get back to you within 24 hours unless something absolutely crazy is happening. I'm very responsive. I'll engage with you. I'll talk with you. I always say we may not see eye to eye on everything, but I bet you there's a lot more that we see eye to eye on than not. And beyond that, you can check for me there. All my information is there. You can look at press releases. You can look at, if you feel the need to donate, which we'll always take donations, you can donate through there via Act Blue. So, yeah, I'm an open book. So ask me any question you want. I'll get back to you right away. And I hope when the pandemic is over, we can meet face to face.
Well, Lamar, thank you for spending some time with us this afternoon. And for everyone who's watching, remember that the primary is June 23rd. We'll be posting information about how to access your absentee ballot and vote safely this spring. And yeah, thank you so much. I'll let you get back to the rest of your day.
Pleasure. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
All right.